Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back to Unconventional Nikki, the podcast and the YouTube channel. If you are new, welcome and thank you for tuning in. And if you are a returning listener, definitely welcome, and thank you so much for coming back and tuning in for another episode. Today is Mother's Day, and I just wanted to come on and do like a little quick podcast what what Mother's Day means to me as a mom, a single mom, a working mom, a spiritual mom. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so about my mommy journey. First, let me say that this has been by far the most rewarding, frustrating, fun, stressful, just a little bit of everything kind of experience that God has gifted me the opportunity to be able to do. Um, I love being a mom, and I am so grateful for my two children. I do not take it for anything for granted. Being their mother for granted. I think that it is being a mom is one of the most important jobs that you will ever do in your life. You know, you're responsible for human beings and how they grow up and how they turn out in the world. You know, you're responsible for another life that's not yours, and that in itself is a major and huge responsibility that some take seriously and some don't. And I don't judge anyone who doesn't want to be a mom, or anyone who may have had children and maybe didn't feel like they were ready. But for me, it has definitely been a blessing, and I don't take it for granted. I take that role very seriously. There are some people out here that can't have kids, and my heart always goes out to them, because I am just so thankful that the Spirit saw fit to bless me in that way, to be able to experience not only being a mother of one child, but being a mother of two, a boy and a girl. So again, having the best of both worlds. So my heart definitely goes out to anyone who is struggling to be a mom, or wants to be a mom and cannot have children. Like I said, this is not an experience that I take for granted. I became a mom at 17 years old, and it has been the most life-changing experience. I like to say that she changed me for the better and grew me in a way that I did not, or should I say, she grew me in a way that I'm not sure would have happened had I have not have had her. And then when my son came along, that just kind of added to that experience. I am a single mom, and I am a working mom, and I am a mom who is trying to work on herself at the same time. And I am also a mom who is discovering herself. And sometimes how that looks can be very stressful. It can be stressful. It can be hard trying to wear all the many hats that I have to wear, as an individual and in being a mom, and then trying to nurture and care for myself. I think one of the biggest things that as mothers we oftentimes forget is how to care for yourself. And I definitely fall victim to that at times, because I'm so busy worried about them and their needs and meeting their needs, that I forget about Nikki sometimes. I forget about Nikki's needs. I forget about what I want. And sometimes my dreams even fall on the back burner. And even now, I'm just getting to a place where it's like understanding that, yes, I am a mom, but those needs do not go on the back burner. They still need to be in the very forefront of my mind and of my life. My children are equally as important, but being a mom also does not supersede who I am as an individual. I am Nikki at my core. And when I'm the best me, they get the best me. So, that is always something that I always try to keep in mind, and just being a parent. If I'm good, then they're good. It's so easy for us as moms, especially when you're doing it alone, to get lost and having to pay your bills and having to make sure you're making enough to not only pay your bills, but to meet their needs too. And then also trying to make sure you're meeting their wants, and then trying to figure out where you fall in line with that, and where your needs fall in line. And that can be difficult, because there are a lot of moms out here that are struggling, that are not making enough to be able to provide for their households. And then, without some getting the help of the fathers, that can make it very difficult. You know what I'm saying? So, my hat goes off to all the single moms who are listening to this, because I definitely understand your struggle. And for the moms who even have help, I still understand. Even if you are married, I understand that too, because whether you have a husband or not, or a mate or somebody that's there to help you, it is still very easy to lose yourself in mothering and negate you and put everything and everyone, especially the kids, before you. And then, you don't factor in the mommy guilt when you do something for yourself. When you do say, hey, I'm gonna kind of put that the kids to the side for a second, not saying you're forgetting about them and that is a bad thing, but saying, hey, I'm gonna put them for the side, to the side for a moment, so I can do something for me. And then, the guilt that comes along with that sometimes can keep you from doing things like that, because you're like, hey, how am I out here doing something for myself when I have kids? And your kids can be very well taken care of, and you still feel guilty for wanting to do something for yourself and wanting to give back to yourself. So, I think one of the most important things is, in being a mom, and in my experience, is having to remember that I am still a human being. Like I said, while I love being a mom, I still have to remember me too. And I still have to remember to take care of me and to do for me, and to, remember that my dreams are equally important. The day I became a mom didn't stop the rest of my life. That is just an aspect of my life, albeit an aspect that I take very seriously and probably always will. But I still need to nurture myself and pursue my dreams, and create the life that I want for myself, because again, when I do that, my kids benefit. Yeah, there are frustrating moments in being a mom. My kids get on my nerves. I'm not gonna sit here and say that they don't. And sometimes I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my God, what was I thinking? What was my thought process when I decided to have kids? But it's normal, and I allow myself that grace, and I'm not hard on myself when I have those moments, because it can be very frustrating. And sometimes you need a timeout. You need a timeout, and you need to put the kids in the timeout so you can recenter, refocus, reground, and step back into self, and into your peace, because kids will pluck your last daggone nerves. They will. They will do everything. And then there's some days where you may actually think, I'm going to speak for myself. There are some days where I've thought, these kids are in here doing stuff to me on purpose just to get on my nerve. And then, not to mention, when I'm in here, it's like, they have a little time clock. If I'm in here getting ready to get ready for bed, that's when, hey mom. Or when I'm getting ready to do something for me, hey mom. And it's like, are y'all sniffing out when I want to do something for myself? Are y'all sniffing me out that moment when I'm just trying to take a pause or a rest? Is there a radar that goes off that says, mom's taking a rest, we need to go bother her. Mom's doing something for self, let's go harass her. I don't know, the no privacy, the bickering if you have kids, even no matter what the age range is. Heck, I thought because my kids were 4 years apart, that there would be no bickering, and because they were a boy and a girl, there would be none. Wrong? Boy, oh boy, was I wrong. And so, then there's that, and the having to mediate, between the two, you know what I'm saying? And then also, not even in that, learning what parenting looks like for you, and how do you want to parent. I used to be the parent that spanked my kids, and then that switched out because I didn't like putting my hands on them in that way. I didn't like it felt, I don't want to say this, but it felt like I was harming them. And then I grew into other ways to discipline them. And then of course there was you're doing this from other people, and if I was you, I would do this. And then that's a whole nother thing when people are trying to tell you how to be a mom and how to parent and what they think you should do and what you shouldn't do. And you're like, skirt, shut up. I got this. They're my kids. I gave birth to them. And if Spirit didn't feel like I could be a good mom, then I would never have had them. So skirt to you and let me handle this on my end. And remember that, and then also remembering that how I'm parenting is not wrong. It's how I want to parent. And I can't judge another mom for how she chooses to parent. And learning how to tune those voices out that want to have judgments on how you're parenting. So, like I said, then there's that. So, there's just so many levels to being a mom. And like I said, this is just my experience. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know a lot of you moms out there that are listening can relate to this. So, momming is a job. It really is. And you learn as you go along. I have can definitely say that I have learned as I went along. I've, with each stage, from the infancy stage to the toddler stage to the adolescent stage and then the teenager stage. My daughter's getting ready to be 17 and then a senior in high school. And that looks different from when she first started high school. My son is getting ready to be 13, and he has shifted in who he is, his little personality. And then, then there's the fuss and argument about taking baths. And I didn't know little boys didn't like to take baths. So then that's a whole nother level of frustration right there. And then, girls get their lady friends. And then you're teaching that. So then not only now are you a nurturer, now you're a teacher. You're teaching them about life, and you got to teach them about different things. And then you got to know when to be stern, and you got to know when to nurture. And it's just blah, all that great stuff when it comes to being a mom. But again, even with everything, sure a lot of you can relate to me. It is one of the most rewarding experiences, because at the end of the day, I love hearing my children say, "Mom, I love you," and I love you and I'm grateful for you. And me as a mom, I always do a pulse check. Hey, what can I do better as your mom? What do I do that hurts you or affects you in some way? You know what I'm saying? Me and my daughter had to have a talk about, me moving around. I am a nomad by nature, and my kids have always been well taken care of, but I like to move around. So she sat down with me one day and she was just like, "Hey mom, yeah, you said we were going to be here for a while, but then we moved and that bothered me. And you made a promise to me." And in that moment, I had to take ownership of the fact that I had promised my child something and was not able to make good on that promise. And it hurt me to my heart. And I had to own up to that and apologize to her, and then help her to understand that mommy is just finding her way in life. I am a mom, and I'm just trying to salvage bits and pieces for myself. You know what I'm saying? Outside of being their provider, paying the bills and being the homemaker and all the other tasks that comes along with being a mom, and then still trying to, again, not only that, but heal my own childhood wounds too. The issues that I had with my mom, and, how that affects me and my ability to parent. And not only that, how that affects my everyday life. So, and I sat down and I explained this to her. And of course, that taught me, not to make promises to my kids if I don't know 100% that I can make good on those promises. Because again, I don't, in that moment that I made that promise, I legitimately thought that we would stay in that particular state for a certain period of time. But then Spirit led me to move to another location, and the promise got broken. So it's kind of like reminding me to be more conscious of the promises that I'm making to them and what I'm saying to them. And, remembering that they have feelings and that they feel too, and that what I do also affects them. So that has also been a thing. And I know some parents probably don't do that, and they may say, "Hey, why do you ask your kids how they feel or whatever?" Because I know what my childhood was like. And I know that my parents and their decisions and things that went on between me and my mother affected me deeply, to the point where I am now 34, almost 35 years old, and still dealing with those things. So for me, checking in with my kids is very important, because I genuinely want to know what I can do better for them, because I don't want to, if I can prevent issues, I want to. That's not saying that they won't still have them as they get older, and they may not have been things that I've done that they maybe not thinking about. But in the now, I can fix what I know or right what I know so that they don't have issues that are going to, or to so many issues that carry them into adulthood. And then they're having to do what I've had to do and work through those issues as adult children or as adults. So that's also something that I have kind of implemented. But, I have my own way of parenting, and, what works for me may not work for you. And, that's respect. But that's my momming journey. I would not take back anything about being a mom. I would not go back and erase having my kids because, oh Lord, they have been, they have been the most precious and greatest gift that anybody could have given me. Watching them grow and seeing me and them, and seeing how much my son even looks like me, and then seeing my traits in my daughter and different traits of mine in my son. It is, and then watching them learn new things. It is just like the greatest experience for me. And I wouldn't change it. There's nothing. And I'm able to celebrate Mother's Day today and able to make this podcast today because of the fact that they are here. Because my body, or God saw fit to allow my body to carry them for 9 months and then bring them into the world, and then give me the opportunity and the responsibility to care for them. So without them, this podcast would not be here. Without them, I would not have grown in some of the ways that I did. And I don't know, and without them, my life wouldn't be as great as it is and as fulfilling as it is. So yeah, I'm so grateful, and I'm just so thankful for being able to be a mom. So, for all you moms out there that are watching this or listening to this on the podcast, happy Mother's Day. And always find the joy in mothering, even in the most stressful moments. Find the joy in being a parent, and be thankful that you were given the gift of motherhood, and given the gift of given the gift of those children. That's about it. And like I said again, happy Mother's Day. I celebrate all the moms in this world. Like I said, no matter who you are, what race, whatever, happy Mother's Day. Take a moment to think about what motherhood it means to you. Until next time on the Unconventional Nikki podcast. Love, peace, and light. Bye.